breaking down the lecture behind significance of power of three and refining the narrative to entry criteria. Okay, so it's not going to be a basic power of three. If you guys don't understand what power of three is, we have notions. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there, right? We're not going to be talking about basic power of three. A lot of people have actually DM'd me the same exact question, and that is, what SMT do you use in reference to power of three? Understanding power of three is fractal, right? We understand that every single time frame is going to have different power of three candles. Now, obviously, we're not utilizing 1 minute power of three candles, right? Because that's just stupid. But we are referencing every single day to daily powers of three, fractal 4 hour, 30 minute power of three, right? Even higher time frame, monthly, weekly, yearly, 3 month, right? All of these given power of threes. And excuse me, a lot of people ask me, like, what type of SMT, because obviously manipulation will only be validated in a reversal mechanism from an SMT or a given cracking correlation, right? Now, we're not going to be talking a shitload about quarterly theory today, as that is mainly for private students, but we are still going to be talking about cracking correlations regarding SMTs. So we're going to be talking about significant SMTs, not just any given SMT, but the significant SMTs, depending on the time frame you are utilizing, to, well, have a checklist regarding power of three. Okay, so let's cover this. Before we come into today's lecture, prior understanding, I want you guys to obviously have an understanding of ICT, Smart Money Concept basics, right? You guys don't have to have a huge understanding of it, just some type of basics, right? What does power of three mean? Okay, so being second, power of three basics, right? The understanding of open, low, high, close, open, high, low, close. What does it mean in regards to the opening price, which we utilize as key opens, okay? And also know what an SMT is, right? SMTs have been around forever. If you don't know what that is, do your own homework, and then, well, you guys can watch it after once I post it and figure all that shit out. Coming into the subjects we're going to be covering power of three significance behind refining narrative, and also fractal power of three for entry precision. All right, so let's hop into it. Power of three significance behind refining narrative. Power of three is by far the most important ICT SMC concept I'll never go a single day, week, or month without. Okay, power of three is crucial for reasons being identifying narrative, cycle structure, and volatility. When we are building a bias around power of three, we will always, before anything else, identify the opening price of the given power of three, look for correlated cracking correlations to prove if a low or high is protected, and target opposing draws on liquidity, right? So we talk about protected and unprotected highs and lows in the market all the time. Protected highs and lows are highs and lows in the market that are, well, paired with a cracking correlation, or I'm sorry, exactly, what's the word for it? Connected with a cracking correlation. Okay, so when you're looking for AMD in any given cycle, whether that's daily cycle AMD, XXAMD, or maybe power of three, right? Because we're using opening prices, the manipulation will always be confirmed by an SMT, right? Like literally always, like 100%. If it isn't, well, now it's a draw on price, right? Because you can reverse engineer it. If it isn't, now it's a draw. The opening price is the most important aspect of power of three, as this key open shows us where price must manipulate and distribute around, okay? Manipulation will always be confirmed by an SMT. Distribution will only initiate once the SMT is in place and manipulation is complete. Correlated cracking correlations are most important to validating manipulation for given fractal power of threes. Okay, now I did create like a little cheat sheet, so we're going to be breaking this down. Okay, intro breakdown. Significant highs and lows are created around the clock through our markets constantly, but what most don't seem to utilize is how between thousands pools of liquidity, only specific time-based areas can be crucial to identifying strong SMTs. We understand SSMTs won't be on every single cycle, and that's what makes them stronger, but SMTs are around the markets infinitely. Okay, so let's break this down. When you guys are utilizing given power of threes, obviously we're not going to be referencing to the fucking yearly power of three every single day, but knowing that we are now coming into a new year, this lecture is very crucial for this. Understanding that we are going to be breaking down this year's example in the next slides, but previous 12-month, meaning the year, high and low are a significant area for an SMT regarding yearly power of three. So what I want you guys to utilize is every single power of three, right? We have yearly, 3-month, 1-month, weekly, daily, 6-hour, 4-hour, 30-minute, right? All of them from highest to lowest, because they're fractal, will always need a correlated specific cracking correlation to validate that given power of three's manipulation. Meaning, the yearly power of three will only be validated from a yearly SMT, meaning year to year SMT. Now, we are going to be breaking down that, understanding not every single fractal power of three will be validated from the given cracking correlation, but time to time we can use higher time frame SMTs. So let's say, for instance, we have a 3-month power of three. We understand the 3-month power of three is going to be manipulated and validated by a 3-month to 3-month high and low SMT. But we also can utilize that not every single time is it going to be 3-month to 3-month. It could also be like, let's say, year to year to validate the 3-month power of three, right? But you can't ever go below the time frame. It always has to be above. So you'll never go below your given power of three correlated SMT, but you can use higher. Example of this would be if, let's say, we're utilizing 30-minute power of three. 30-minute power of three can either be manipulated and have a cracking correlation with the previous 30-minute power of three candle, or if it doesn't, we can utilize the previous 4-hour high and low as a validation. Okay, now it doesn't have to just be one up, it can also be higher, but obviously use a logical SMT, right? Don't go from a 30-minute confirmation to a fucking weekly SMT, right? Because that's a little stupid, right? Only go like 1 above or 2 above max, and that's kind of what would validate that given power of three. But same thing for all of them, right? If we're utilizing daily power of three, we're looking for an SMT at the high or the low of the day with our previous day's high and low. And that's what will validate a significant SMT. Instead of just looking at any given liquidity in anywhere in the market, you're utilizing specific ones in the market, right? And this will be very crucial to identifying weakness and strength in the market, understanding that there are times when a dip below an opening price will occur, but it will get reswept almost like a turtle soup. And a lot of people get stuck in those zones, right? They get stop hunted. They're like, why did I get stop hunted? A lot of the times it's because there's not a significant SMT paired with that lower high, meaning, well, now it's considered unprotected, and that unprotected low is a draw on price, meaning your liquidity. Okay? This cheat sheet will be a god map for you to identify strong highs and lows in the market regarding power of threes. Let's cover some examples of power of three. So I want you guys to utilize the 12M for our yearly power of three. Yearly example. This is literally the year that we are in right now. As we can see, breaking down an example of yearly power of three, we proceed to run out the previous 12-month low in order to set the stage for open, low, high, close yearly power of three. Dipping below our opening price, validating manipulation with SMT, initiating distribution remainder of the year. As you can see, we have an SMT with our previous year low on YM. NQ and ES fail to put in that lower low underneath our opening price, meaning this validates us for an open low, the low being manipulation, validated by the SMT with a significant lower, well, technically low to the left, right? Because that's our previous 12-month low. For a back, previous 12-month higher low, yearly power 3. That validates us for now a bullish run. Now, one thing I do want to talk about a lot is that when you guys are looking for these cracking correlations, you have to understand, think of like AMD, XXAMD on a hypothetical scale, right? Let's just say we're in a daily cycle. A lot of the times you'll see that we might initiate a cycle when it's not in its given time yet. So think of basic QT terms, right? Every single day, there's going to be 4 quarters, right? There's going to be either AMDX between the 6-hour windows, or it's going to be XAMD. You'll see a lot of the times that, let's say London manipulates being Q2, but distribution will also initiate in Q2 and continue in Q3. I want you guys to utilize that. Understanding SMTs. SMTs can sometimes happen prior to the given power of 3 candle, but when the power of 3 candle opens, it will initiate the run. Almost think of manipulation distribution, right? Let's say, for example, this candle right here was obviously the year to year, and we did not put in an SMT, but the previous candle put in an SMT with the candle before that, and then we were just continuing the trend as in distribution. That happens a lot. Now, I'm not going to be talking about it specifically for yearly, but I want you guys to utilize that understanding for, let's say, 3 month, month, week, daily power of threes, right? Because a lot of the times the manipulation confirmed by the SMT can happen and continue the next power of 3, and then you're coming into the given power of 3 and you're thinking there's no prominent manipulation, there might be a stop hunt here, it might just be continuing from the previous one, right? Because sometimes narrative is stronger than all these different fluctuations in price. Okay, now I want to go into this yearly example on a lower scale, the 1 week example. We can see that, let's brace back, a yearly power of 3, we understand the yearly power of 3 is just showing the candle, right? But we understand power of 3 means accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Breaking it down on a lower scale, our weekly example, we can see that this is what we were given from the year to year SMT on a lower time frame, right? We actually had a significant accumulation, manipulation, distribution around our opening price. So understand, you're not always going to see AMD on a higher time frame scale if the higher time frame scale is really just looking at the given power of 3 candle. So looking on the weekly chart, we could see that YM puts in the lower low with our previous year, putting in that significant SMT. From that SMT, that validates the manipulation. Once that manipulation is in play and considered a protected low, we are looking at the opposing side of the market for a draw on price. We can see all the way on the high, the accumulation highs, this is a draw on price, because breakdown power of 3, both sides of the market are crucial, but what side of the market is putting in the SMT? Well, if we go back, we'll see that the low of the market is where we're putting in the bullish SMT, right? The highs are correlated, meaning one side of the market is protected, one side of the market is unprotected, meaning if we put an SMT on the lows, we're now targeting the highs because the highs are considered unprotected, and that's exactly what the distribution was targeting. So we accumulated engineered liquidity, unprotected liquidity. Okay, that's crucial. It's unprotected. There is no SMT on a higher time frame scale that is telling us that it is not a clear draw, right? Because this right here is just engineering. A lot of people are thinking we might not target it, but it is a clear draw, right? We can utilize this in a vice versa sense, bearish too. So we manipulated, validated the manipulation by the SMT, not any SMT, but the significant SMT with our previous year low, and then we initiated the distribution all around the yearly opening price. Understanding yearly opening price, we will manipulate below it and distribute above it. Hope this is recorded. This is cool. Yeah, it's all recorded, guys. I have to find a way to post it to you guys. I told you this. Would that AMD you're showing us be a market maker model? Kev, yes. On a lower time frame scale, on a daily scale, there was a MMBM with our first 2 quarters of the year. From technically the first 6 months, there was a market maker buy model. Okay, now fractal power of 3, entry precision. Fractal power of 3s are legit the same exact thing, except one small difference: pressing the button. Fractal power of 3s, such as 30-minute power of 3 and 4-hour 10 a.m. power of 3, are used every day in my trading for participating in the markets and will have the same principles as any given power of 3, meaning we must use the given SMT correlated to its pair to validate manipulation to distribution phases. Now, small hidden rule: fractal power of 3s will 9 times out of 10 move within the overall high time frame narrative unless high time frame manipulation hasn't been complete yet prior sessions. Okay, if we have a predetermined daily bias, we are likely to move within the same trend during our fractal power of 3s as well. Okay, this is literally, I want you guys to use this every single time you guys come into fractal power of 3s, right? Because I know a lot of people personally in Collectors Club utilize 4-hour 10 a.m. power of 3 and 30-minute opening power of 3, right? Because they're super beneficial. It tells you exactly where manipulation and distribution needs to be put, right? Understanding they will be validated by manipulation. But I want you guys to utilize this small hidden rule. Is if you guys are looking at the overall higher time frame scale, such as the daily power of 3, and you understand, let's say coming into the market, London already did an SMT on the lows with our previous day low. We have a prominent cracking correlation validating for, let's say, higher prices on the day. Coming into morning open, you can anticipate that the fractal 30-minute and 4-hour power 3s will likely push in the same exact direction. Meaning, you don't really need a true bias here because the daily power of 3 is already telling you where it wants to go. So immediately, you now have a fractal bias. All you have to do is wait for that fractal manipulation, SMT, and long within the daily bias. Now, there are chances where 30-minute power of 3 will be opposing to the overall bias, and that will always happen when the daily power of 3 hasn't put in a prominent manipulation and SMT with it. Meaning the 30-minute power of 3 is likely to do the damage for both 30-minute and daily, and now you can press the button either shorting the manipulation or longing distribution during 10 a.m. So just small hidden rule. Now this is a little, I guess, not graph, but it's a picture I utilize for the market maker models. I put that in the Notion, but I wanted to just show because it has the same representation, understanding that this is a higher time frame sell model, and within that sell model there are fractal lower time frame sell models. We can utilize the same exact thing for power of 3s. If this was a higher time frame daily power of 3, intraday lower time frame fractal, there will be 30-minute 4-hour power of 3s, right? Because they're always going to move within. Now, fractal 10 a.m. 4-hour power of 3. Just small example before we hop into the charts and everything. Fractal power of 3 example we can see is the exact same for entry rise, right? 4-hour open, validating open high low close by the previous 4-hour high SMT on YM. Lower time frame entry, targeting opposing draws on liquidity. As we could see, we have our previous 4-hour high, which was 9:45, and then 10 a.m. opening up an additional 4-hour candle. We put in a higher high above it. So now we have an SMT with our highest high of our previous 4-hour high, right? Because that's a significant high. Go back to the chart. We can see that we are utilizing, if we are utilizing 4-hour high and low for our 4-hour power of 3. So now coming back, we could see we took out the previous high of our 4-hour high, validating open high low close, right? Because manipulation will be completed by that SMT. NASDAQ and ES, they both fail in to put in a higher high above our previous 4-hour high, and that validates us to sell off, targeting draws on price. And we can also see that overall on a higher time frame scale, as we're on a 15-minute chart, this entire chart here is showing the entire daily power of 3, and you can see how the daily power of 3 is bearish. So the 4-hour power of 3, well, it's bearish. Easiest way to utilize that. All right. So now that we have that complete, do you guys have any questions? You guys want me to break anything down? If not, we're going to be jumping into the charts. We're going to be talking about literally the, I guess you could say, chart, the live examples of utilizing this power of 3 significant SMT. But does anyone have any questions before I start, yapping even more? No, I'll jump into it. Difference between AMD and power of 3. AMD and power of 3. Okay, think of it like this. Ego. AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, is more of a pattern recognition, right? It's simply a pattern in the market that happens almost literally every single day. Fractal, higher time frame, lower time frame. Power of 3 is moving in AMD. But instead, it's utilizing, I wouldn't say utilizing, it's referring to an opening price. So that opening price is, think of it like a significant draw, but also kind of like a, how do I word this? Like a hint. It's telling us where do we need to manipulate and distribute around. That's kind of what it's doing. So power of 3, a little bit different. AMD, more pattern rec. You can utilize fractal AMDs simply as in, did we accumulate, manipulate, distribute? Manipulation validated SMT, but power of 3, well, that's given us an opening price. It will tell us where we need to manipulate and distribute to. If it's an open, low, high, close, right, bullish power of 3, we're looking for manipulation below it and distributing above it. That is as simple as it gets. True opens are always quarter 2. True year open, when will it be? Oh, Reddit, I didn't even see your thing. My bad. Yeah, so it's Q2. So it would be January, February, March, April. It would be April. This cheat sheet, go to this explains why it gets stopped out when trying to use 4-hour power 3 and 30 minutes. Yeah, exactly. It's super, super simple. And I don't even think you'll see anybody posting about this, is because I actually created this cheat sheet for myself, just simply based off of data collection. So it is simply just being in the market for a while, utilizing these fractal power 3s. You can see this shit occurs over and over and over. You're seeing if 6 a.m. 4-hour power 3 creates significant SMT, the 9:30 power 3 can just distribute with no minute. Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, but you're also looking for a 30-minute lower time frame fractal manipulation to validate that given 30-minute power 3. But yes, it's obviously going to be moving within the trend if the 4 hours already validated to continue. But it is 000, right? That's true day, Retta. True day open for a daily price, that's midnight. Yes. If you see a SMT form during London or pre-New York Open, would you be bullish for the day? It needs to be a really valid SMT. So in regards to daily power of 3, right? Because if we're talking about London and New York Open, we're obviously talking about sessions, right? Sessions is the overall day, right? Because we have Asia, London, New York AM, New York PM. If we're validating London for the manipulation of the daily power of 3, I'm looking for a significant low or high, given the narrative, SMT between our previous day low or high. Now, obviously in QT terms, I'm not going to be talking a whole lot about it, but there are different types of cracking correlations that can sometimes be there that an SMT won't create. Understanding this is more of a ICT talk, I guess you could say. What's your opinion on 2 p.m. 4-hour power 3? Eli, I don't trade PM session a lot, but for people that do trade PM session, you guys have to utilize this small thing. Every single day in QT terms, right, there's going to either be XAMD or AMDX. Now, if we do have an AMDX daily profile, we understand that PM session is going to be expansion. Now, it is up to you to figure out if the narrative is going to expand or reverse. If we are expanding to a draw that is not met yet, well, then you can utilize the 2 p.m. 4-hour power 3 to target that draw. But if we are in a reversal expansion, meaning the draw was hit during distribution, Q3, it's a little less probable, as reversals don't tend to be volatile. They tend to more be consolidative. So it's more of something you have to collect data on and kind of check a preferability in a sense, but I don't prefer it. I don't like PM session at all. If anything, I hate it. Wait, so for the cheat sheet, all of these different power 3s are correlated with one another and have they're each exclusive pairs, pretty much. Yes. Can you go back to the last slide, please? I want to take a screenshot. Are you talking about fractal 10 a.m. Ego? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, so guys, now that we understand the power of 3 cheat sheet for SMTs and regarding manipulation and distribution, I want to be breaking down this last week. Okay, coming into the last week that we just had, we understand, based off of what I just said, right? Understanding not every single fractal power 3 will be validated from the given cracking correlation, correlated cracking correlation, but time to time can use higher. Understanding if we are looking for a weekly power of 3, we're looking for a week-to-week SMT, right? But not every single time are we going to get a week-to-week SMT, but we can use the one above it too. We can use a monthly SMT. So let's also look at this. We are currently on the weekly chart. We understood that this week, even though we technically closed bullish, majority of it was bearish. So just looking at YM, right? YM's week, open, high, low, close. This week, breaking down our entire month was manipulation phase, right? Our entire week was in manipulation phase regarding our monthly power of 3. We had accumulation first week, second week was we had expansion, accumulation, manipulation this week. So if we're manipulating this week, I was anticipating lower prices, right? Because we're likely to manipulate opposing to where the distribution draw on price is. Now, we are going to be breaking down in just a second, but utilizing that as our narrative, bearish narrative, I'm expecting the week to sell off. So now that we understand this, we're looking for an SMT to send us lower, right? If we're looking for a bearish SMT, we're either utilizing the previous week high or the previous month high. Now, we're obviously not going to go to our 3-month high in most cases, right? I guess you could say very low 1 to 5% ish might happen with our 3-month high to validate a week, but I'm not utilizing that. I'm utilizing the monthly high and the weekly high to validate sell-offs. As we can see, breaking down our entire week, we do not have any SMT with our previous week high, as every single previous week high was well correlated, but we can also utilize the previous month high. As we can see, looking over on YM, let me actually make this a line. YM puts a higher high above our previous month high, as well NASDAQ fails to, as well as ES, right? ES also puts in that higher high. So seeing that the week did not put in that significant SMT, we did put it in with our month. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say come into this week and validate manipulation if, let's say, the first week of the month put in the Kraken correlation, right? I'm not going to validate that. But in this scenario, we did put in the Kraken correlation at the very beginning of our quarter 3, meaning manipulation this, or technically last week. So that was what validated this. So let's actually look at this. So all the way up here, coming into Thursday the 11th. Thursday the 11th was Q4 of last week's cycle. So this was technically ending the week off, as Friday has its own function. We can anticipate that because Thursday was the day that YM took our all-time high, which was right here, YM purged our previous month's high, right, coming into Thursday. And because there was no reaction on Thursday, because it literally happened at market on close, well, Friday's function not only pushed us lower, but understanding that our next weekly quarter is likely to be manipulation, right, sending even lower, we're anticipating that it is likely to keep expanding, right, because we just spoke about that. If we put in the manipulation prior quarter of manipulation, right, because this was our accumulation week and this was our manipulation week, we can initiate the manipulation during the accumulation week, but we are likely to continue it coming into the given quarter, okay? And we can see that's exactly what we did, because when ES and YM both put in a higher high, taking all-time high, and NQ failed to on Thursday of quarter 2, well, the damage was continued coming into this quarter. So what validated this entire week to sell off regarding SMTs was our previous month high. And that's what gave us the significance to sell off. So coming into this week alone, I'm looking for lower prices. Now, breaking down the entire week, we could see that we were given XAMD and then Friday's expansion even higher to, well, take out the manipulation high. Even though we did close bullish for the week, the majority of the damage was bearish, and that's exactly what I was looking for. If we break it down on a higher scale, we can see that I'll actually just take everything off here. Let me pull up my monthly. We're going to utilize the same exact thing. So where's my magnet? Here we go. Let me actually go delete all this shit. We can see this is our monthly opening price. If we're expecting the month to be an open low, high close, we're looking for a significant SMT at the lows. Now, this is kind of where it gets tricky for a lot of people that do not fully understand quarterly theory. This isn't going to make 100% sense, but I do want you guys to still kind of get where I'm going with this, okay? We obviously understand if we're looking for a month-to-month power of 3 SMT, we're looking for a month or 3-month SMT at the lows. Now, there's two things that happened here. If we do look at our monthly powers of 3, actually, let's go over here. It's a lot easier. Get rid of these drawings. We can see that our low of the last month did not put in any SMT with our given month. But understand, if we break it down, we understand manipulation can initiate prior to the manipulation quarter, right? Because things can happen prior and then expand the given quarter, right? We just said this. Look at our previous month to the month before this. We could see YM fails to put in a lower low. So this month right here, which was actually October's low, we were speaking about this a lot. We put in an SMT on the lows. Break this down. As you can see, YM failed to. This validated the manipulation for our 3-month power of 3. Understanding we can go one above. If we're validating the monthly power of 3, the 3-month could also validate it. The 3-month power of 3, we put in that cracking correlation on the lows. And then because the the SMT happened literally Q4 of November, like literally all the way at the end, this was the 25th of November, we're now going to continue that SMT reaction coming into our additional quarter. And as you can see, that's exactly the reaction that we had. Now, all the way on the lows, understanding that we're likely to now distribute coming into next week, right? Because we had expansion, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. We do have engineered highs all the way at the highs coming into the beginning of our first two, quarters, but we have literally like super low volatility coming into our upcoming week. Just for this reason, I'm gonna state this. I truly think that the entire damage that we were expecting to be done against all-time high was done on YM, and that is the most we are gonna get. I truly feel that we are very unlikely to even get above these highs. Now, because we do have some decent red news folder, we could push above those highs, right? It's very likely. But YM, our target for the year, specifically me, was all-time high. I was looking for a higher high in the market to end off strong. Now, even though we have high news impacts, we have a few more days coming next week, even though it's a bank holiday, we have a lot of iffy fluctuations and volatility coming along. I do think that technically the year is kind of where it needs to get. YM did majority of the damage. Now, on the lows, knowing manipulation will always be validated by an SMT, we can't obviously validate this SMT all the way over here to validate the monthly over here. We do, in QT terms, have a hidden monthly cycle SSMT. I'm not going to be explaining the whole thing, but I'll just put it on my chart. We do have a hidden SSMT, monthly cycle hidden SSMT all the way on the lows, and this is validating that manipulation is complete and that we're likely to now distribute against the unprotected buy-side liquidity all the way at the high, understanding that this entire month was expansion, accumulation engineers unprotected stops, right? There's no SMT all the way on the highs. Technically, it would be this high right here. No SMT at this high to really consider it a protected high. So now we are looking for price SSMT between what? Our previous week. Right now, our previous week. So my bias, being distribution phase next week, is bullish. Overall, it is bullish. I'm looking at the news that we are likely
watch my right, watch my right, watch my right.
To our daily profile cycle.
Expecting
higher prices, right? We're reacting already off of the hidden monthly cycle on the lows. We had a very nice V-tape recovery, immediately expanding off of the monthly cycle, which is exactly the identification and price that I'm looking for to send us higher.
Can go B, man.
Now that we put in the damage there, I'm looking at all the engineered liquidity, understanding that this high was the highest high of this week, I guess you could say last week now, unprotected. Look at all three of the correlated assets. None of them put any significant SSMT or SMT in the market. If there is no SSMT or SMT in the market, well, now it's considered a unprotected stop. Unprotected stops, they're likely to be draws on price. Now, looking on it at a higher time frame scale, let's actually do this. There we go. To me, I'm gonna say this, it almost looks that we are in a buy model. Okay, now there are gonna be some things around this. Was I see where let me see. Hold on. There was, I don't know if I marked it correct. There was a high up here that was like unprotected. I'm trying to figure out which one it was. Which one was it? I had it marked out before here and I deleted it and now I can't fucking remember. Am I on the right contract? I am.
No prisoners.
There was. Which one was it?
Take over.
They will go.
Go.
Face your fear. My
Was that's the technically incorrect high.
Chill.
Copy city.
Chill a little bit.
one enemy remaining.
Okay, so back to it. Now that I'm expecting that we're in a buy model, okay? This would be our original consolidation. We engineered liquidity at the highs.
Match point.
Need a drop. Mercy now. Need a weapon.
Here
Go.
we have first stage, reaccumulation, second stage, right here,
Little help. Reloading.
smart money reversal
Little
at the lows,
Reloading. I'm out of
if
here.
it will let me draw it.
Go.
I'll flash for you.
And now I'm expecting that we are to send up. This would be considered our first stage redistribution.
Dropping souls.
If it will let me.
Gotta go.
First stage redistribution targeted against the second stage reaccumulation. This is considered our short-term high. This is our intermediate term high. And this is our long-term high.
Spike down A.
Now that we already put in the data,
I'm waiting for you.
we're likely to
Amen.
get an additional retrace.
Right side.
Right side.
Now
side.
we're in AMDX, and hopefully get above the long-term highs coming into next week. Now, if we don't,
Player standing.
I mean,
One enemy
either
Ed
way,
đi
not
đéo đâu,
gonna
mẹ mày
happen
bù lao.
next week anyway,
Spike
right?
down
There's
A.
like too much
Attackers
holidays and
win.
shit, low volatility, all this different stuff. I'm not looking for expectations of
Man.
pressing a lot of buttons next week. I understand that majority of my profits were made prior in the month, the first 3 weeks, and well,
Trừ 70
coming
dấu
out
chết.
to a close. I'm not so focused on
Còn fan anh Jack
making
97 ở
money
đây
this
này.
coming week. But this SMT you have marked to me seems like it will cause the retracement for this MMBM. Let me look at what high you were talking about.
Này, thằng này bắn nó hên vãi. Thể trận vừa rồi thằng này tham minh đúng kiểu đỉnh cao mẹ luôn. Cứ giạt là chết, giạt là chết mà kiểu tham minh kiểu mình đéo nhìn nó ấy.
See, that's just like a random SMT. So, I mean, this is Tuesday's highest high,
7:30.
right?
Tôi mới đá bát mì.
YM
Chưa
failed to
ăn
get
uống
above
gì.
the highest high of Tuesday, but
Thôi nhìn
Tuesday,
chưa ăn được.
in correlated aspects, literally has no significance. It's not the highest high of the week. Like, the highest high of the week is Monday, and so right here.
Lại giờ này tối off luôn anh em ơi. Lại giờ này tối off luôn phát.
There's no possible retrace as we took second stage redistribution, so open low high close for next week. That's what I'm expecting, BJS. But I'm just trying to break down what Waz put down as the SMT. I wouldn't see that as a significant only because it's just Tuesday. If it was day-to-day power of 3 SMT or week-to-week, yes, but
Này, thích mù đó không?
just a random day now.
Nhiều tiền đấy.
Mỗi đồng lại thôi.
So why did
Hết rồi đấy.
not go to
Còn đúng cái
all-time
nịt
high?
thế
You
này.
said you
Này,
expected
flash
us
này, flash
last
đi qua
week.
luôn này.
As we had a
Mù.
significant crack in correlation at the
Có
YM.
Có đấy,
We had some big manipulation instead of- Okay, so Apple,
Thật luôn.
one thing
Spike planted.
that I
Yeah, no way.
personally messed up on coming into was I guess assumed that playing within the narrative
Phải được
two,
ý.
that quarter 2 of the monthly cycle was manipulation. So I said that because it's manipulation, we're likely to finish
Thầy không biết nói.
last week. Now, But that was entirely wrong. It was not
em khẩu
AMD,
kia.
it was XAMD. Now I had more of an insight around this literally
Bán cả
Wednesday.
nhà đi
So
mua
Wednesday
súng cho
last
em
week,
rồi.
December 25th,
Đây, thích Bulldog không?
Wednesday 17th. That is kind of what told me that this entire week.
Mỗi đồng lại thôi. Hết rồi đấy.
I'm gonna say
Còn đúng
this
cái gì
truthfully.
thế này. Này, flash đi qua
Though
luôn
I
này.
considered this manipulation at the time because at the lows there was a hidden monthly cycle that validated longs. It really didn't ruin my entire like narrative or
Thật luôn,
perspective of
thật luôn.
price. It really didn't.
Planted.
Coming into Wednesday
Dạ rồi.
when we did put in a lower low, that's what told me everything I needed to know that people likely to do buy models,
Phải
like
tưởng ấy.
manipulation. Now
Nãy thấy hai thằng Mỹ trắng nó giả bắn nhau một loại.
it was like
Ah,
everything
think,
was like
Bulldog
good
không?
until Wednesday, and then Wednesday told me it's
nhiều
vice
tiền
versa.
đấy.
So
Còn mỗi đồng lại
I mean, I
thôi.
wouldn't necessarily say it confused anything to me, but
Thầy không biết
don't
nói.
get so stuck up on the fact if a week or a month is XAMD
Em ơi,
or
thấy chưa anh
AMDX.
bảo anh phải
Like
mua cho em khẩu
actually
kia.
identify manipulations by SMTs,
need is some
regards to
hero
power
messing
trees,
things
or
up.
all of those things. You don't want to
Em
just
đi
strictly
rồi.
look at pattern
Bán cả
recognition.
nhà
and
đi
look,
mua
okay,
súng cho
did
em
quarter
rồi.
one accumulate or expand, right? A lot of people think this is
I think,
accumulation, but well, it's expanding from quarter four. So it's like you can't understand if it's accumulation or expansion every single time. You have to utilize other aspects, power of three, market maker models, SSMTs such as quarterly theory, right? All these
Kia
things.
booster phần mềm giảm độ áp của, nếu mà tôi nhớ không nhầm, vì cũng là lâu lắm rồi không chơi với em ma. Yasuo, em ma đang bắn con
Moon, you
Clock
said how long have I
Up
been
Ascent.
trading? For about a year. About a year.
Hai
A
rồi.
year of hard
Trời
dedication.
đất ơi.
Trời ơi.
Thế vào kiểu gì? Không vào được.
Ồ, bị gót.
Reloading.
You guys, so since our
À, cảm ơn Cao vì 10.000 nha. Hello
Đã
YouTube.
bàn tặng bạn nhìn.
Nè, cần được.
Spike down A.
manipulation is over.
Round 2, round eco thì
Likely,
nhanh thôi.
yes, but understand it's not always going to be as clean as an SMT, right? That's
Mọi
the
người
whole
nghe
study
Deadlock này
behind
có mấy
Q2,
quả lý quỳ.
Đi ngồi mình này, đi ngồi
Ây chùa.
right? SSMT,
Không phải tranh trọng
all
sớm
those that you can't really see
Tích
in
là
the
thằng Zen.
I, but I don't really teach that for the free content too much, right? You guys can figure out what an SSMT is going on YouTube, but in-depth shit I don't talk about until it's private. Do you think we down to that volume imbalance? Are you talking about the daily, the unmitigated weekly cycle down here, Apple?
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn nhé.
I did have my
Dạo gần
eyes
đây
on the
toàn
fact
bắn
that
trúng
we
sấy,
were
hôm
200
nay mình
handles
chuyển
away
qua
at
bắn
the moment,
Smith
but
nhá.
since we put
Thế
in
này.
that V-tape recovery with the monthly cycle, the hidden monthly cycle, I'm anticipating that this low is pretty good.
Này thì thi nhau chui qua
If we
này.
do have any
mấy
bearish
đi nên
crack
thích chui lỗ
correlations
nhỉ?
to send us lower,
À,
I'm just
thì ra là
anticipating
cái
that
bài
YM did the damage and we're coming into a close
bắt
for
người
a
để
yearly
bê đây.
power of 3. That is how I'm looking at it.
Khá quá nhờ.
We could easily be bearish next week. It is just,
Nãy mình bắt
I mean,
hụt
I
thế
think
nên là
really
bom
the
rơi ở
YM
B
did
rồi.
everything
Đường
that
vào B
I
rồi.
did not want
Thôi,
YM to
kệ
fucking
bom
do.
vậy.
And that messed up everything.
Cái
YM
này
does
nó
that
cũng
every
đẩy
single
này.
time. Wherever you think bias is gonna go, YM's gonna do it.
Lào bắt đầu lên này.
But can't do nothing about it. Could get
Ôi
a double mark
giời
since
ơi,
going lower is
tưởng này.
against our narrative and draw on liquidity is very close, possibly. Understand buy models, market maker models. There will be likelihood of devil's marks. Do you have a method that would tell you this SSMT is completed now? I can delete it from my chart. Hold on, I think I'm getting misinterpretation here. Do you have a method that would tell you this SSMT is completed? Okay, Lucas, I want you to send that message in the private chat. I'm going to answer for that after. All right. What SSMT time frame would you want to see for a 10 a.m. power of 3? For a given SSMT, pretty much utilize the same expect aspects, right? So if we're looking for SMT for our 4-hour high and low 4-hour power 3, we can utilize 4-hour or higher. So SSMTs are the same way. We're either looking for let's say, a daily cycle SSMT or like a weekly cycle SSMT. We're not going to validate 4-hour power 3 with a 5-minute Kraken correlation such as a 90-minute cycle, right? That's just stupid. So you're looking for anything higher. anything that would really validate that reversal. So like a DC weekly cycle, monthly cycle, that will validate a reversal. Would hitting EQ of the weekly range on one indice be a Kraken correlation? You could utilize it as more of like a range divergence, yes, but I wouldn't necessarily call out a SSMT or an SMT such as to validate manipulation. Just think of it more of like weakness and strength in the market. It's a good signature, but you don't want to be utilizing that as manipulations complete. What's the category you use to say one SMT is significant?
Má
What
phiền
is
ác.
the category you use? Am I
Mãi đeo
retarded
ra.
or I don't understand that question? What's the category you use to say one SMT is significant?
No offense.
Like unprotected or protected highs? Is that what you're saying? Alright, well there you go. That's why I categorize that. Unprotected, protected highs and lows.
That works.
Snow, can you upload long recordings on Loom? I will
Teleport's ready.
keep that in mind, yes. I will check that out.
Teleport's ready.
This whole time I've been using 90-minute cycle SSMTs to validate 10 AM Power 3. Am I a bot? Kev, you lack the understanding of QT, man.
Láo chó mẹ giặt chay ạ.
QT is a lot further in
Láo
depth
thật.
than people really think it
Nó
is.
đang đà vào tay của khác.
Trust me, SSMTs is not the only thing.
Rồi mất mẹ
There are specifics behind which SSMT you have to use at given times. Reda, I'm like clicking on your pictures right now and checking out that.
They found my trap.
One link and they're gonna go B. They're gonna go B.
What does REJ mean, Reda? I'm just curious.
Lob already inside B. Careful left.
Put a banana emoji. Rich, you gotta be banned, bro. You gotta go. Always doing some shit. Rejection?
Enemy remaining. Spike
Brother,
down.
CE
Defender
rejection
spawn.
monthly.
fuck?
Oh, okay, so I see what you mean.
Vai cả trường.
More like a
Mình,
range.
Mày thế còn một máu.
Rejection. So like discount premium. What do you think of Bucko and his concepts, TCISD? I utilize True Change of States all the time. Bucko knows his shit. But Bucko, the thing about Bucko trades is he only utilizes QT. He's very far off with SMC, such as Power 3, market maker models. Those things is what I utilize to validate things. Because not every time are you going to be able to validate a run with QT. You need, you know, other things. So it's just pairing ICT with Day and you get that. What about inverse TCISDs? I do not use that at all. I just started catching on with Bucko. Yeah, Bucko's
Đẹp
pretty
thằng cái
good.
đéo thì
Alright guys,
đúng kia đi.
so any additional questions? I'll give you guys a few minutes and then I'll wrap this up. It's been an hour. Now, for people that obviously didn't make it and stuff, I will check out Loom. I'll check out, you know, in addition with WAP, figure out how to get this Canva and the video to you guys. You know, give me a few minutes for that, of course. If it's not up today, it will be up tomorrow. Where can I learn surface level QT without paying them to for the mentorship? Bucko, honestly, Bucko. That's what I recommend. My YouTube content is basics, and then go to Bucko. Bucko will teach specifics
One enemy
on like
remaining.
SSMTs, you know,
Spike
PSPs,
down
all
A.
those little Kraken correlations.
Mày thế kéo đúng lúc có
But
big.
in the Power 3 to validate it, you'd want to see a 5-minute Kraken correlation,
Dun,
right?
dun, dun, dun.
Safe to be an immortal. Did I have a job?
Not always, because 5-minute Kraken correlations are 90-minute cycles. You could validate a 30-minute Power 3 with just a microcycle.
Chamber opening guys.
A gift.
I'll
Teleport's
see you
ready.
guys type, but I'm gonna give you guys a second, and then I'll wrap this up. How do you stay patient in the market?
want
Do
to
you
play?
watch
Let's
YouTube
play.
or TikTok in the meantime in trading hours? Hell no. I simply, Lucas, like being patient in the market. I mean, that's something you would have to talk about for hours. But
Trap destroyed.
Link.
I mean, it just comes within time of, you know, knowing when to stay out and participate in the market. It really just comes down to your trading style and not trading every single day. Apple, does your mentorship premium offer signals? No, it's not a signal service.
Chì.
I do live commentary on what I'm thinking, but not pressing the button. I will never tell you when I'm pressing the button.
Yo, you should have stayed in, man.
Snowski goons while
Ah,
trading?
yêu
That
yêu
is
thích.
fucking crazy, none.
One pushing CT, careful. Đây này.
I beat your tops, dude.
Yeah.
That's up to you to decide, man. Dedication.
Last player standing.
Ban this fool, please. That's funny. Should I look for more regular SMTs or SSMTs if I don't know which SSMTs are valid? SSMTs will always be stronger as they're time-based cracking correlations, but SMTs can be valid as long as they're with a significant high or low in the market. Alright, because think of it like a daily cycle, right? If you're going to day-to-day SMT, even though it's a significant SMT, it's technically a weekly cycle SSMT.
Mà có tiền rồi thì
You're in
thôi.
both hands. Patience, he
I
keep
drop for you.
marking on
Life for
bid.
you,
That's
my
what I'm saying.
treat.
Bankster thinks I struggle, patience, discipline, following my rules.
Yo, go A,
I
Jet.
recommend, dude, just if you have a trading style and you have a trading like strategy, you have to frame your entire days around opening the markets within that. That is simply it. Everything else falls into place. You recommend Day's mentorship? I don't think Day has it up anymore. Alright, guys. Nick's just dropped it. Kissing ass. Alright, you guys. Alright, guys, I'm ending this up. I hope you guys had a wonderful time being here today. Next Friday, technically. Actually, I don't even know. Coming into next Friday is technically like a holiday week. I don't know if I'll be doing a live call, only because I know a lot of people are busy, me, myself. So, I don't know. We'll figure that out. I'll let you guys know in the announcements if anything changes, but I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday if you guys do participate in any of that. But, as always, you guys know it. Catch you guys after. Peace out.
나를 믿는 내가 최강이다.